Alrighty, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the video, and in this video we're just going to be covering some of the changes on the map and how that impacts the competitive meta, and kind of what are some mini tips and tricks, or what I think might be some splits, some strategies at whatever location that got impacted here. So first off, the very least important is the foundation statue. He's split in half, and there's a bunch of colors everywhere, and I don't think there's an updraft, but there might be if you go high enough, but I mean you have to build up there. So just a little change, kind of just screws over whoever lands kind of on the far edge over here. Now over here at Command Cavern, which is now Rave Cave, all the IO chests were removed, so that's pretty gutted because now there's no IO chest here. So I'd say the Command Cavern is probably, or the Rave Cave is now probably kind of even in the terms of other POIs, but there is a lot of forms of natural rotates. We have a lot of jets around here that I'm pretty sure still work. We have a big blue kind of wind tunnel that loops all the way around, and then we have a small yellow one that's just on the west side of Rave Cave. So there is a fair amount of natural rotates. What does that do? How does that impact the drop? Well, first off, you can still kind of greed out a bit in terms of looting. So it's, if you land somewhere over here, you can hit the yellow one to go to the blue one, then use the blue one to get the zone. If you land on any other sides, you just got to get out, run to the blue one, use either this updraft to go to the tunnel, and then use that to get the zone, or whatever you want to do. So it does give you can kind of greed again. So a big thing about it, you can kind of greed your position. You don't have to leave as early as the other teams, like compared to like the condo team. If zone was in the middle, you don't need to leave as early because you can just use the turbines to bail you out in terms of rotates, and especially with the other natural rotates that are here. Let's turn those on. Launch pads that are right here, so you can just turbine to here. Your turbine, it's a tunnel. Use the wind tunnels to the launch pads to zone, or whatever, or even launch pad to tunnel to launch pad to zone, or whatever you want to do. So but what the tunnels actually do is that they do actually buff other drops. So we have this like split over here that used to be like a Spider-Man split, but now you can loot it quicker because you can just hop in the tunnels, loot all this. So it increases your time to rotate, and it also increases your time to get to zone. You can just hop in the tunnels, fly into zone, and exit on one of these points or wherever you want to exit, and just fly into zone. Logjam also has a buff. It doesn't need to actually rotate through this mess and rotate through the bridge. It can just loot all this, get in the tunnel, and haul ass to zone. So boom, Logjam's buffed, this split's over here buffed, and then obviously over here has been greatly buffed with all this crazy shit. But if you were landing over here on these rifts, I mean there are rifts here, so I guess what you could do as well, if you were these guys, you loot all this, you hit the tunnel, you hit the rifts, now you're in the zone. Anybody could do that, actually. Anybody could use all these rifts. Even the Logjam team could hit the turbine. It's a tunnel. Why am I calling it a turbine? Hit the actually, is it? Someone let me know if it's a wind tunnel or a wind turbine. It could be a turbine. No, turbine's that fucking spinny shit that was down at the bottom. Okay, anyway, you hit the tunnel from Logjam. Maybe you get tagged a few times. You hit the rifts. Now you're way deeper in zone than if you actually hit the tunnel. So these rifts, which I think are still there, yeah, these rifts are pretty good. I mean, this team does have their own rifts to rotate, but let's just pretend they didn't. So I guess the Logjam team could also even loot all this, fly up, hit this, and go. But either way, you just have a lot more access to either key into Rave Cave, hitting any of these rifts around here, or just using the tunnels to get the zone in general. Now let's dive into, that's really it for Rave Cave. I mean, the whole inside of it is just going to stay the same, so there's nothing really important to talk about here. Let's fly over to the Collider, aka I think this is called the Glow now. So basically all the buildings are kind of destroyed and colorful now. So far the only advancements I've seen is that Coop and his teammate, which name starts with a P, it's not polarized, I don't think so, someone else, I forget his name, Poised, maybe? Poised? That sounds like it. I think Coop and Poise are landing here. Then on the other side, we have Scented and Cold claiming kind of like all of this, which is pretty unique for a tier 1 team to be landing a split like this. That does look pretty shit. But a reason why I think they're doing that is because of the slurp truck here. They can just double land on this, get full shield, hit all of this, have the pads to quickly get around. And there's also zip lines here, so let's turn those on. So you can, hello? Oh, that's what I have to do. So you can loot this together, zipline, pad, hit, zip, or pad even back, and then you can loot all this probably pretty fucking quickly. If I had to guess, you can loot all this super quickly. And what that because of the speed and the time, and you could be able to beat Acorn and Edgy or whatever team lands here to the tilted hill, or even yoink down into the combi split, fuck up these guys a bit. They're going to be low on shields and mats and loot now that you can just push down into them because of how fast you can actually loot all this shit here. Now your metal would probably be here, over here a bit. There's some trucks and stuff around here you can hit for metal, some like broken cars and stuff. So there is a fair amount of metal here, and I think you can, I think this is metal, I'm not sure though. But I think you can sit there and farm metal as well. Another good thing is that because of all the natural rotates that are around with the pads and the tunnels over here, is that sitting here like Peterbot and Bila did is actually a good play, because you have to think about it, all the teams that are around here, so all the teams that are like over here that don't have any forms of natural rotates, they have an option of actually rotating to the launch pads and then using them to get into zone. So Logjam, they can use the tunnels to get into zone, but either way, if they hit these launch pads, they can use natural rotate to zone, something like that. So they could do that. So if you sat somewhere with good aim, especially double mouse and keyboards are cold and scented, you could sit here and get a fuck ton of surge on everybody that has to rotate into zone. This is what Peterbot and Bila did with the Mythic when they just based up here, because the Collider had its own form of natural rotate as well. So everyone would just wanted to go there. Now on this side over here, it's decent. If there was no pad here, it'd be shit, just because all you can really loot is this without a pad. But because you do have the pad, you have the options of either A, using this pad to key up, key here, go across. You can use the pad to push into the combi split. Maybe you loot all this, hit the pad, hit all these coolers, you take that from the combi split. Now they're even more fucked. You hit the pad, you go to Coney, or you hit the pad to here, key here, then go into Shifty. Now up here where Coop and Poised I think is landing, this is probably the best one here. It's just a lot more loot and a lot more stone and stuff. The rotates, you can probably claim this bridge pretty quickly. So you hit all this, you know, land here, hit the barrels, boom, 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 go to zone, loot all this, you're good to go. If you can take the bridge before this team does, that's a free kill, because they're going to be absolutely shambles on loot. And another thing that I forgot to mention is slurp barrels. There are 15 slurp barrels here, which is a fuck ton. So you can get max shield and have a ton more shield to trade surge with any of the teams around. And then over here, there's 8 slurp barrels with a few throughout here. So you can hit the slurp, these 5, maybe you both pop a big, you both pop minis, whatever. And one guy goes down here, he loots all this, the other guy hits the pad, goes to the bridge, you claim the bridge super early, you cut off this team, now you get a fuck ton of metal, and you have all this loot here, which is pretty big. Now over at the fortress, nerfed pretty hard. I mean, the whole fortress is gone, so you're losing out on a lot of shit. I don't think there should be a split at all, but maybe a shambles team could make it work if you're able to get the bridge, because that's most important. So the split would probably be something like this, or you just something like that, and you would get all of this. Then what you could do is rotate up and see if you can get some of this, but if zone pulls far, then you probably can't, and you might be able to go down maybe and try to hit some of this, but it's pretty shambles in terms of over here. So let's fly into Greasy Grove now. Have I done Greasy? I can't remember. I'm gonna have to pause this video now and go back in the replay and see if I've done Greasy, and then be right back. All right, so I didn't do Greasy, we're good. So Greasy has been pretty nerfed. I mean, there's no more coolers here. So what that does is kind of swing kind of the advantage and how you want to play Greasy. Because it used to be you fucking 50-50 the cooler building. You win it, you win Greasy. If you lose it, you lose it, and that's really it. But now there's no coolers here, so the best play in my opinion would be to claim this up here, the kind of the top half of the taco building. So now this whole taco building is kind of elevated because these 2 mushrooms underneath it pushes it up, so it's way higher than the rest. So if you win this spot here, there's floor spawns here all over this, you win this, now you have this like giant aerial view over most of Greasy. It would be kind of hard for you to see over here because these mushrooms do kind of block it off, but you can easily, let's say you land 2 here, you claim this, you send 1 guy to loot this early, 1 guy stays up there to watch, now he goes down to loot, he swings around, you guys meet here, and then you leave. Now you're able to claim all of this and actually split Greasy and fuck up these guys. Or you land here, 1 lands up here, get some early tags, you guys here to here, loot this, key them, whatever you want to do. I think this is definitely the play and the building or plant, I guess, you want to control to win Greasy. Now let's fly into down here. So I don't know what this is. Is there a name for it? Location, landmarks, Fungi Farm. Okay, so Fungi Farm, fungi I guess it would be, eh? So Fungi Farm down here. This must just be a bunch of farmhouses probably. So this, I actually really like this a lot. I think there's a fair amount of loot just right here alone, and that doesn't include down here if you can get it, or even down over here. And then if you can even get something like this, then you actually have a fair amount of loot over here that you can get. And you could probably even get some surge and greasy, or just rotate your way into zone. I don't think there's any rifts over here, right? Yeah, no more rifts over here, which kind of sucks. But if you get like, if you just, basically the goal would be to get to the tree, then use the tree in, or just do the haul ass in like that, whatever you want to do. But this is a very nice split that I think could actually be pretty good. And it's also a pretty good solo drop as well. You get this, you get this, you get this, you get this, you dip to zone, and you're good. Now flying over here to Dusty, this is probably a little bit worse in terms of loot compared to over here to the farm, but it is still pretty good because you have an easy access to, there's like a 40 fucking geysers over here. All these holes are geysers that you can just hit and hit the tree and get the zone. So what you would probably do is you double land here to win this. There's sharks here as well. So you double land there and you send one down and one up. You kind of loot all of this if you can get all of it. And then you dip to the geysers to use the geysers to get to the tree to get the zone. Just like that. Boom. Perfect. Nice little split drop. Taking down here might be a little risky. If this team is going to alpha it, then that's fine. You can just take all this, which is still more than enough loot. Now we're flying over here. This would be more of like a shambles split-ish drop. This has kind of been buffed, you could say. You could probably loot all of this over here and be pretty shambles in terms of loot, but at least you would have some loot and be unconned. So if you play it well, you might be able to get some big placements out of it. Now let's dive into the tree. Let's start with the front half here. I think this could be a realistic split, something like this, where you guys double land here, you win this, one person goes here, you guys run up here together, up here, and then you sit up here for your surge. Good spot for surge now, really good spot, because if you remembered all the natural rotates that are kind of like on this side over here, everyone's going to want to use them to get to zone. So if you sit here and you have good aim and you're able to tag everyone that hops off the wind tunnel or hops off the tree, then you have a fuck ton of surge and you just get to zone after that. Downside is you'll probably be on edge most of the time, but I mean, if you have your surge, then you can just fucking go dead middle, second, and be chilling, or third, or whatever. So I think that this could be a split like this. The big downside is that if you do split it, so you do 1-1 like this, the tree can key you. Now the tree won't have much materials other than they get it from chests, because there isn't much mats actually in the tree. So they'd have to get to the top of it first to actually be able to fly down and key you, or hit the lily pads and do a nice little lily pad rotate or whatever. But I think this definitely could be a nice little split that can get you a fair amount of loot. I mean, there's metal up here, there's metal here. I don't know if this gas gives you good metal or shit metal, but there is a fair amount of loot, and you can tag tilted, tag the glow, and all these places around here. Now actually going into the tree, what might be another split is that someone might land on the tree and land here. I don't see that happening, because if you get double conned here, whoever lands on the tree is going to have to get there ASAP. So I think the tree is going to kind of work kind of like the blimp did, how people are going to be fighting below it and there might be a team on top and they're just going to tag you down, but it's not going to be as broken as that, because they're only going to have like 3 chests up there and a bit of floor spawns. So I think the tree is going to be utilized more in terms of like what might end up happening is we might get a team in the cave, and then whoever gets the tree kind of gets all of this here, which could be possible as well. Because then you just use the tree, one person flies here, one person flies here, you go up here, boom, you're good to go, or whatever happens. Now if we go actually into kind of the waterfalls over here, there are 2 kind of important buildings up top right here. So what you could do hypothetically is you land here. I think there's another building over here, or this could actually be in the cave, I can't remember. But you land here and you both loot this, and you guys both hop down into the waterfall, both sides. There's actually a geyser down here to rotate as well, so you can use the geyser to get in or go backwards if you wanted to. But you guys both hop down, and then you guys clear through the cave together, hit the geyser out here, go back to the tree, get to zone, blah blah blah, you know that, get in, you're good to go. So that could be a play as well. Now there might be people that land just like actually down here where they fly directly into the cave. That would kind of suck, but hopefully you guys know the loot and quick enough where you can get down there and kill them, or sneak up behind them, so and enter through the geyser spot over here and see if you can get a free kill on them. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. This is just a little bit about the maps. I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing first in terms of actual I'll have to VOD review a few pros and see what they do in terms of landing at the tree, and then just to see some strategies, and then I'll make a video about the reality tree or any splits around here or something like that. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this one and have a good one. Cheers.